Hello and welcome to a chess video where we discuss the basics of chess. If you have a friend who wants to invite you at chess but you don't know what to do, well, here's the video for you. Here we discuss the basics of chess in 5 minutes and hopefully you learn something new, and let's begin. To start off, there are 3 phases to a chess game. There's the opening, there's the middle game, and there's the end game. The opening is very important. It defines where you put your pieces and which leads to the middle game. An opening can be of many types, but your best move is to move the king's pawn 2 steps, put the knight out, and put the bishop out. The middle game is a transition of the opening into a game where the pieces have been developed and you see more improvements on the board. The end game will be after the middle game, in which there are only a few pieces on the board and your best chances to win or checkmate here increases. There are 6 different pieces in a chess game. Pawn. The pawn only moves a square at a time, but on its first move it can move either 1 or 2 squares. It cannot move ahead when something is blocking it on the board, and to capture, it captures diagonally. Passant is a special move with the pawn. When pawns are facing each other in this way and this pawn moves 2 squares, now you can capture this pawn even though it's not in a diagonal position of you. This is also called en passant, and this can be only possible on the move where the pawn is moved forward 2 steps. The rook. The rook moves in a straight line in any direction. The rook can travel any number of squares, and this is why it's useful in the endgame where there are less pieces on the board and more squares for the rook to travel to. Use this rook to traverse around the board very easily. The knight. The knight is a fun piece to maneuver. It moves in a straight line in any direction for 2 squares, and from there takes a left or a right, giving it 3 steps. It does not capture anything in between and is the only piece which can jump over enemies. Bishop. It moves in a diagonal. It moves an innumerable amount of squares, so it can travel to basically any number of squares whenever it wants, provided, of course, it's not being blocked. Queen. Other than the king, the queen is the most important piece on the board. The queen can travel any number of squares in a straight line or a diagonal and is super useful for endgames. Most queens, however, in other stages of the game get traded or exchanged, leading to a queenless endgame. King. The king is the most important piece on the board. To safeguard it is your mission the whole game. Your king can be placed in a check when it is attacked by an enemy piece, but you have moves to stop it. However, when your king is in check, you cannot capture the piece checking your king if the piece is guarded. The king is in checkmate when it has no moves and its pieces cannot stop the check. The king moves in 1 square in any direction. There's also a special move for the king which also involves the rook. Castling. Castling is when the rook or the king have not moved once in the entire position and they have no pieces in between. Provided this, they can now do this move which you see on the screen right now. I would also recommend playing online on websites against computers to know this, for example on leechess.org or on chess.com. Also, here's an important lesson. If you are just a beginner, you might fall for this opening which can lead to checkmate. This is called the scholar's mate and it goes like this. Draw. There are mainly 4 types of draws, where the players agree to one, when the opponent or you have no moves like your pawns are blocked and your king is in check but cannot move, where the players go by 50 moves without capturing or moving a pawn. A player can offer a draw in this stage, but the other player can obviously decline. However, if this goes on for 75 moves, then it is a forced draw. When there is not sufficient material on the board, for example, only a knight and 2 kings, or only 1 bishop and 2 kings, etc. Okay, while editing this, I realized I did not mention the 5th type of draw. It's actually draw by 3-fold repetition, where if a same position occurs in the game consecutively or non-consecutively 3 times, the game is automatically declared a draw. Once again, I recommend you play on Leechess or chess.com and practice puzzles and checkmating patterns. I think this will help you a lot in your chess moves, and I hope that you have a great day. Thank you for watching this video.